Guys, we all want to do things the lazy way, the easy way. But can we learn English the lazy way? It doesn't sound possible, right? But what if it was? Watch or listen to this episode to find out. Hello guys, Tony from Zero Fear English here, and welcome to another episode of the Zero Fear English podcast. This is a podcast for English learners that need something that is more difficult than beginner material such as textbooks, but something that is easier than movies or TV series. In today's episode, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're going to be talking about ways that we can learn English or whatever language you might be learning the easy way or the lazy way. First, I want to introduce you to a couple of professors in the field of languages who have explored this topic and published scientific papers as well as books related to what they found. The first person I'm going to talk about is Dr. Stephen Krashen. Some of you might have heard of Stephen Krashen, but for those of you who haven't, allow me to explain. Stephen Krashen is a linguist known for his theories in second language acquisition. To summarize, Krashen says that people learn languages best when they understand a bit more than what they already know. So what that means is to expose people to language that is a little bit challenging, but still makes sense to them. This is called comprehensible input, and you receive input in the forms of reading and listening. And finally, it's comprehensible if you understand it, therefore comprehensible input. If you read and listen to something and you don't understand it, this is not comprehensible. If you read and listen to something and you understand some of it, but most of what you read or listen to you don't understand, this is not comprehensible. If you read and listen to something and you understand most of it, but not all of it, some details you don't understand, this is perfect. This is comprehensible input, and it's challenging enough that you are still learning something. The small amount that you don't know is where you will learn. You can use the context of the big portion you do know to figure out the parts that you don't know. Stephen Krashen also talked about the concept of the affective filter. What he means by this is that in our brains we have a language learning device that, of course, we don't lose from when we are children. And the affective filter concept says that if we are relaxed, the filter comes down and the words can enter our brain. It makes the acquisition of the language much easier. However, if we're stressed, the filter comes up and acquisition is much more difficult. So, how can we make the filter come down? And that is by learning languages in a more relaxing way, and that might be using content that is much simpler for you to understand because you are less stressed if you're not being bombarded with content you don't understand. So you might be asking, how can I learn languages the lazy way? Well, keep watching and I'll tell you. But first, the next person we're going to talk about is Dr. J. Marvin Brown. Who is J. Marvin Brown? Well, J. Marvin Brown is another linguist who developed a method called automatic language growth. This was a theory that suggests that adults can learn languages in the same way that children can learn a language. He theorized that we can learn languages without formal instruction, such as grammar drills and the usual classroom instruction. And he used immersion and exposure and context clues, and this was the way that he taught his students in Thailand. In a recent video I saw from Refold, which I'll put in the description, and Refold is a language learning blog and roadmap that helps language learners learn a language. They summarized these methods in one sentence. Watch videos that are easy enough that you basically understand everything until you are fluent. I would say that you can read and listen to content too. The idea is you consume comprehensible input until you are fluent or until you understand everything. At that point, you no longer have to worry about not understanding what people are saying to you or what you are hearing. Of course, you then need to work on your speaking. And the only way to get good at speaking is by practicing speaking. You have a large passive vocabulary at this point that you need to activate. You need to move your passive vocabulary to your active vocabulary. Anyway, to summarize, both Krashen and J. Marvin Brown discouraged the use of grammar practice, the study of grammar rules. If the input is comprehensible enough, our brains will eventually notice the patterns and gain an intuition for how the grammar works. Which means we'll feel that something is wrong when we hear a sentence that is incorrect, or if we say a sentence that is incorrect, we'll notice something doesn't feel right. Even though we might not be able to explain it, we'll notice something is wrong. So, to finish off, what is the lazy way to learn a language? Exactly as we discussed, consume comprehensible input and enjoy the language. If it's not comprehensible, you won't understand it and therefore you won't enjoy it. And if you don't understand it and you don't enjoy it, you won't learn anything. If it's comprehensible, you won't be stressed and therefore it is easier to acquire new information and new language. And the exciting thing is, we are seeing more and more comprehensible language channels appearing on YouTube. A pioneer for comprehensible language channels, and by pioneer I mean someone who is the first to do this type of thing, is the Comprehensible Spanish channel, Dreaming Spanish, who is an inspiration for some of the content that I've been making. And we are seeing more and more comprehensible language channels appearing, comprehensible Japanese, comprehensible Mandarin Chinese, etc. So, if this type of content is something that you enjoy and your language does not yet have a comprehensible languages channel and you enjoy content creation, I would encourage you someday to create this for people who enjoy comprehensible input, or CI for short. Of course, this method might not be for everyone. Some people like to practice grammar. They like to do grammar drills, they love grammar, they like to analyze how language works, and that's fine. It's important to select a method that works for you, your situation, and that you enjoy. Don't let anyone tell you that you're learning a language wrong. If it works for you, then keep going. It's your journey, it's nobody else's journey. This is just one such method that might work for you, and you might not have heard of it, so that's why I'm introducing it to you today. Anyway, guys, that's all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Give this video a like, share it with people it might help, your language learning friends, your fellow classmates of English. Ring the notification bell so you don't miss any more of my uploads, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now, guys.